Hello, Facebook world. It's Friday, it's noon, and you know what that means. It's time for another live event. I'm so happy. I woke up just ecstatic about the weather this morning. I know some of you didn't. I saw Epic business analyst had written on her Facebook page that this morning's cold wind hurt her feelings. And so, what about you guys? Did the cold wind hurt your feelings, or are you so excited? For me, I'm excited. I got to bring out my Epic sweater. This is in the professional store. If you click on that professional link, caveat, it's a men's sweater. I really like the men's sweater. And I got my wool cap out tonight. So I am so excited that the fall weather is coming. Things just feel so good. I had an extra cup of coffee this morning. I'm so glad that all of you are here today joining me, and I see you popping in, 53, 55 of you. This is just awesome. Thank you. And so you know what to do. If you have been to one of these live events before, I want to see your heart emojis. Throw me like 10 heart emojis right now. I'm looking. I see you. Hi, Carla. Hello. Hello, Cindy. Matt, it is Friday. Thank you for being here. All right, if you've never joined one of our live events before, throw in the thumbs up and tell us that you're happy to be here. Yes, I see those hearts and those happy faces, smiley faces. Somebody's mad at me. I don't know why you're mad at me, but we're here to answer your questions. Now, guys, we had planned to talk about a totally different topic, but we didn't get around to answering all of your questions from last week. So we have another panel here today. We've got Emily and Angie, both amazing women, so smart. I am so thankful they're here to help me out. Emily, who are you? How long have you been with Epic, and what is your job here?
Yeah, I'm Emily Redmond. I have been at Epic. This is my 6th year at Epic. I have been a teacher and a principal here before, and now I get to help kind of coach the principals. My title is Director of Principal Development, and I love Epic. It's the best place to be.
Thank you so much. And Angie, same question. Who are you? How long have you been here? And what is your role at Epic?
Well, hello, and thanks for having me. This is my 6th year at Epic, and I started out as a teacher, worked for 3 years as a teacher, became a director of teacher development, and this is my 2nd year as principal. Love this. Absolutely love it.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And I still see all those thumbs ups and those hearts. And Shantae, I'm glad you're here too. Jennifer, I see your heart. I see it's a big old heart. Thank you. Thank you. So last week, we did not get around to answering all the questions. And some of them we thought, well, we did get in and type in some responses, but I wanted to start this week with some of those questions. And so Angela, Holly, Erica, Amber, Amia, Nicole, we're going to start with you guys. If you've got more questions, though, and you can see it, fill in the questions. Ask your question down below. Tiffany, I see you. We're going to get to your question, too. But to get started, Angela wanted to know last week. She says, we're new. My son's in 8th grade. We're doing Edgenuity. We've got 3 live 1-hour classes each week and a writing program. My son is starting to feel a little overwhelmed trying to get to 8% per week. And so, Angie, can you talk to me real quick about kind of some of the layers that we add for students and what we do for students and why there might be so many things or so few things for students?
Edgenuity is a really good program, and it can be really extensive. And, you know, when I look at this question, I think about, there's just a lot of factors there. First of all, my overall, and it may be the principal thing in me, but I'm wondering what standards has this child already mastered within this particular grade level, and are we excluding those within Edgenuity and working on the ones that he needs to master? Are there other tasks that's taking place? There's just a ton of things that could play a big factor in the 8% a week. My thoughts are, just right off the top, looking at a child that's in Edgenuity, doing a live hour 3 times a week in a writing program, 8% a week should be easy to obtain at this point. There could be a lot of project-based learning on top of that as well. So I don't know. Emily, you have any ideas? Punt.
Yeah, what I really love about Epic is that we do have the ability to individualize, like you said, Angie. And so, first thing I would do is definitely talk with your teacher about how you're feeling, because not only do the teachers want to make sure that each child has a great plan for them, but they also want them to be ready to take on that next grade level. And 8th grade is one of those really big years getting ready for high school. So we definitely want to make the plan doable and make the plan so that it's effective for our students. So I would just suggest reaching out to the teacher, because there's a lot of things that we can do to help individualize and make it a good fit for the kiddo.
For sure. And we have to remember Edgenuity purchased a curriculum platform too. So Edgenuity itself can be a curriculum, or it can be the parent company of another curriculum. So Edgenuity owns Pathblazer this year. It's kind of hard to get into the definite specifics based on just the blanketed question, but anytime we can help, just throw another question or a follow-up question and we'll help you out there, okay? And on the flip side, you've got a question down here from Amber that says, I can't ever get help with my kids' work. And Amber, I mean, it sounds like you and Angela might need to get together. She's got a lot and lots of extra classes. This might be a situation, Amber, where you use homework help as an option to grab some help. Call your teacher, co-op with people, see if your teacher is a part of Epic Live, so you might be able to take advantage of something like that. Definitely, we have all kinds of layers and support here for you, Amber. Erica wanted to know, do we have to meet with our teacher face-to-face, or can things be done virtually? Emily, you want to take a stab at that one?
Sure. Okay, so there are some things that you might have to do in person. Just, if we do have state testing in April and May, depending on, what the world looks like at that point, those will probably have to be done in person. And then there are some other things, just depending on what your child needs. But for the most part, your teachers will be able to meet with you virtually. And I know that there are some options now that if parents want to do virtual benchmarking, students can do that, and the teacher will just record. So we can show that. And, that's another thing I love about Epic is we have the ability to meet the parents where they're at and do what's best for your family at that time. So I would say about 90% could be virtual.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And we have questions rolling in, so I want to get to some of those. Tiffany says, hello, my child's teacher, Miss Vicky, is absolutely amazing. With everything going on this year, is this year going to be okay? Will there be, and then when will there be changes that affect Oklahoma County? So this is a difficult question, one that I'm sure all parents are wondering about. And so let me put some ease in your heads for this year. This year, nothing happens. If that termination goes through, it will be for the next school year. But we know, and if you were a part of our Facebook Live 5.5-hour live streamed board event, you can see we've got all kinds of things that we'll be taking into the auditor and the state board. On top of that, we have something called due process, which is amazing. And so we will finally get to tell our story on those platforms, and then there will be a coming together. I don't think anybody really wants to shut down Epic. I could be wrong, but we're going to do our darndest to let nothing impact you. And I know that there's another question coming down from Tabitha that's kind of in the same boat. And she says, we're in rural Oklahoma, and we worry about not being able to stay with Epic. Do we need to go back? And Tabitha, I know that this is a big ask, but I'm just going to ask that you take a leap of faith and you hang out with us, and nothing's going to happen this year because of that due process, and just take the faith that we're taking. And we're here. We're sticking it around. I honestly can't imagine working anywhere else. And so I'm here, and you have my assurance I'm going to do everything possible. And that means talk to every legislator around, tell my story, talk to the state board, talk to the virtual board. We've all got things that we can still do. So Tabitha, try not to stress, okay? Dawn says, this is our first year and we can't get into the parent portal. Who do we contact? Angie, who does Dawn contact if she cannot get into the parent portal?
Well, typically your teacher's your first point of contact, and they can help you get through that. You can also contact enrollment or call our direct number for Epic. So there's many ways of doing that. I've done it myself to try to help a parent. There's many avenues. You're never without a resource at Epic.
Okay. Shantae wants to know, because of the pandemic, more children are coming from brick and mortar schools. Would this affect the funding in the future? Will it affect the, I thought I saw learning fund. Will this affect the funding? I mean, because of the growth, I don't know. I don't know that question. I don't get it. So Shantae, if you want to elaborate, but I'll answer what I think you're asking. Does it affect the funding that Epic receives? I mean, it ebbs and flows with child count, but honestly, that child count is on a 3-year average for each school. And so your local brick and mortar schools, unless they've just been hemorrhaging students for the last 3 years, they won't be affected. Ours is a per year. It will not affect funding for at least 3 years for those schools. So I hope that helps. I know there's a lot of miscommunication about that one. Tiffany says, is Epic still hiring? I attempted to complete my application today, but I'm receiving an error message when I try to log in. That's a great question, Tiffany. Why don't you shoot me an email, erin.barnes@epiccharterschools.org, and I'll see if I can't help figure that out. Do you guys know, are we still hiring? I know we've got some pockets in the state that do still need some sped help. Do you guys know where we're at on hiring?
I personally don't know where we are. I know that we're interviewing right and left. I don't know the stats just recently, but yes, I would encourage her to contact you or contact one of us, and let's see what we can do.
Okay, and Shantae did say that is what she was asking, and so I'm glad we got you some information there. Okay, so Omnia wanted to know last week, she says, are there any interactive lessons? We're struggling with 4th grade math. We need like a Zoom class for more explanation. And Omnia, my first response is, have you tried the FEV homework help? Because that is amazing. But Emily, what other options are there for somebody who's struggling that just might need a little bit more?
Yeah, so I love that this question is about math. I used to be a math teacher, so I will tell you that you're not alone. A lot of people need interactive math lessons. So homework help, the FEV tutor is a great option because you can pick your time for that. Another option is to get with your teacher and see if they can schedule a Zoom with you. A lot of our teachers are a part of what we call Epic Live, or I'm getting texts that say other people that work here need help with 4th grade math. So that's a good question. Other teachers do a small co-op group that will help teach in person to different subjects and grade levels. So another option too is by using Khan Academy. It's free, and you can search for the topic that you'd want to look at, or just look at 4th grade math as a whole. And there's video-based lessons within that free website too. So we do have a lot of options. First line, always reach out to your teacher, but I'm welcome to, feel free to reach out to me. I'd be happy to help you as well.
Perfect. And I have, don't remember. I mean, let's not forget when the state standards flipped over. Do you remember my phone call to you? I was like, what the heck is GEMA? And why are we getting rid of this? What is going on? And Emily assured me that the GEMA is exactly the same as PEMDAS that you guys have all been familiar with in the past. But I remember freaking out and using Emily as my math coach whenever those standards flipped over. Let me see here. Tabitha, one of my favorite people around today, because Tabitha says, and she doesn't have a question, just a statement. She says, we are keeping the faith. My kids hated brick and mortar and have been worried about not having this choice. They love their teacher, Miss Tricia. Tabitha, thank you so much for sharing that. Andrea wants to know, how do I get a hold of the special education department or whatever department handles the IEP? I really need to speak with someone since the BLM is not responding. And I'm guessing that you meant BLC. We've got lots of acronyms, so no one's getting onto, and maybe I don't know that one. Is there a BLM other than what I'm seeing in the news? Okay, so Angie, how would somebody get a hold of the special education department?
Well, if they're not able to contact the principal of the BLC, I'm assuming is what she's talking about, then call the main number, our 405 main number, and ask for somebody in the special ed department. I'm a SPED principal. You can always contact me and I'll try to hunt that down for you as well. But yeah, when you are struggling not getting those answers met, get on the phone and contact somebody. We'll answer, we'll get you somewhere. That's one thing about Epic, Aaron, and I know both of you know this, and after 20 plus years in Texas and Oklahoma, I've never seen an entity more resourceful and more helpful than Epic with our families, with each other. It's an amazing, amazing process.
Thank you so much, Angie, and I would totally agree with you on that one. Jessica says, seriously though, my daughter needs English and writing tutoring, and the FEV tutor left her even more confused and frustrated. Jessica, my response to that is we had to try it a few times. There are some tutors who, I mean, just like in teaching, and I've got a story of two friends here at Epic, two of my friends at Epic that were teachers, and one got a set of students, and the students almost went truant because of the communication strategies that were happening. And then they switched to my other friend, great friend, and they became NHS students, just like teacher to teacher communication with families. Tutor to tutor communication with families is going to be different, and sometimes just keeping it up and keep trying until you find the one you like. When you find the one you like, tell them you would like to set up continued tutoring, and you log in at 1 o'clock every Tuesday to do that writing tutoring or that English tutoring. It's going to take a minute. And I mean, you can't even walk into Mathnasium or Kumon or Sylvan and find the exact perfect tutor the first time. Well, sometimes you can, but typically it's going to take a couple of times getting used to it. So Jessica, I'm sorry you had that experience, but keep trying. I assure you, you will find one. And when you do, pounce on them, seriously. Stephanie wants to know, what's the process for assessing my child for an IEP, and how long does it take? I mentioned it in September at the beginning of school, and we've had teacher changes, and I've not received any information about it since. So Angie, can you talk to me, what is that process? I know we have, especially if a kiddo's never had an IEP before, we have the RTI process, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then
we do. We have the RTI. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just saying, and then after that process, we can start going into the special education conversations. Am I right on that? What is the process?
You're right. We do have the RTI process, and we look at those scores. And if we see a discrepancy, if we see a red flag where we realize this child does have some things that we need to capitalize on, they're either exited out and they're fine, or we take that with it, and meaning that we then begin to look at other things. We often have families that don't know to let us know that maybe their child has problems with ADHD, maybe they have problems with other outside diagnoses that we can take into consideration. And a lot of times there's a lot of that over there that's causing a lot of this over here. So we have a team, and we formulate what we need to formulate. We put all the paperwork together. We do evaluations, and sometimes that's a long process to get the IEP written. And the family, what I would like to be able to tell families is, parents, you hold the ball. It's your court. You have a right to so many things. And I really feel like that is something that most parents that have a special education student don't realize. Their voice is very loud and needs to be, and we work as a team. But at any given time, if they want to call a meeting, they have that right to do that. It's not just the teacher, not just the administrative part of it. The parents have many options. And so we come together after the evaluations and take those scores from the RTI process and decide whether they qualify or not, and put together a plan for that particular child. There's a lot involved in that, Erin. It's just a process thing.
For sure. And so if we can help you in that in any way, again, you can email me, Stephanie, or email your principal. Your principal is a wealth of knowledge as well. And, things can get lost, especially if there are teacher changes, but we definitely don't want anyone to slip through the cracks. So reach out and keep reaching out. Matter of fact, this week's podcast for, I know a lot of you already listened because I've seen a lot of your names pop up and leaving feedback, and I thank you for that. But this week's podcast was about advocacy, and not just at the legislative level. You are your child's first line of defense, and so advocate for that kiddo. You know them better than anyone else. So if you know that there's a need and it's still not being met, you got to let us know, and we're going to help you as best we can with those needs. Very good. Okay. And so Holly had a question last week, and it's kind of a loaded question. I've touched on it just a bit, but Holly said, the State Department of Education in Oklahoma voted that EPIC must repay more than $11 million within the next 60 days. And I think that part probably stressed everybody out a little bit, right? Is that something that has to happen? When is that going to happen? She says, if it isn't paid back in the allotted time, what impact will that have on my daughter's education? Next year is her senior year. What's the future of EPIC? She's basically concerned with the termination. And again, we have all kinds of things that we're going to do to make sure that this school doesn't shut down. I cannot speak to the repayment process or an appeal to that or anything, because I'm not one of our attorneys. But I do know that the superintendent of the school and the two founders of this school are very knowledgeable people. You can watch them speak anywhere they go, and you can see it in their eyes. These guys know what they're talking about. And when it comes to kids first, they really are kids first oriented, and they've got your kid, your seniors' best interests at heart. So try not to stress. We'll get this taken care of. If you guys just think about that education and getting it, then you let the people on this side worry about taking care of those things. All right. Nana T twins are new this year, and it's finally coming together. She posted on her page. They got up this morning almost begging to do their computer work. What? They are liking their curriculum, and they love Dreambox. I hope that we can be with EPIC next year if COVID is still around. I mean, Nana T, you can be with EPIC next year if COVID's around or if COVID isn't around. We love hearing those kind of success stories. Thank you so much for sharing. That is awesome. We have another question from, where did it go? Nicole. Nicole wants to know if we can talk about what it looks like for kiddos choosing to do 2 grade levels in a single year. Emily, what does that look like? How does a student get through 2 grade levels in a single year?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I used to get that a lot, especially when I was a principal here. So I would say that it looks a little bit different for high school kids versus students in pre-K through eighth grade. And I would tell you that, there's a lot of factors that we take into consideration. One of them being, their performance level. And so EPIC recently this year started doing proficiency-based promotion exams, which is awesome because that gives a concrete score that a student has to receive in order to promote. And in high school, it's based on credit count. And so if that's a goal, I would say reach out to your teacher and reach out to your graduation support manager and let them know so that we can pace you accordingly and get your high school plan on track for what your goals are. So if you're in pre-K through 8, I would really stress that the goal might not just be the number of the grade that you're in, but the performance of your student, because we definitely don't want to, stress a student out if they're not necessarily ready for that next grade level. But we definitely want them to be current and prepared to take that next jump.
Well, and on top of that, and Angie, I'm going to let you slide into if you want. The curriculum options, as we've stated before, do not cover all standards. And so just because you think you've completed a curriculum, it might not mean that you've completed all the standards for that grade level. And I remember my oldest is 13 and in 8th grade now, but when she went through kindergarten, we were using what was called Compass back then, and she went through all of kindergarten by December. And I just was like, my genius. I have a genius child. We're ready to go. And we went ahead and started her on 1st grade. And the gap, the massive amount of information we had obviously not received in kindergarten or that we were missing before we started that 1st grade was pretty insane. And we ended up backing up and doing a whole 2nd curriculum that 1st year for kindergarten, just because you have no idea until you really start getting in and unpacking them. And that's why I encourage, and we've encouraged here in the past, for all parents to download the standards or ask for a copy of the standards. So as your kiddo is going through that stuff, you're like, hey, we definitely did that. We definitely did that. But she didn't read any novels this year. Guys, independent reading and writing is a part of every kiddo's school year, and it is not a part of the curriculum because they can't just put novels in those curriculums. Some have excerpts of novels, but reading full novels is definitely a part of a curriculum, as well as independent writing. And so kids should be journaling and writing like crazy, independent writing. This is their topics, the things they want to talk about, as well as assigned writing content standards. Angie, do you want to elaborate on that anyway?
Well, I completely agree with everything that Emily said about the proficiency-based promotion exams that we're now using, which I think is terrific. It's clever, super clever. We have to jump through those hoops, and we have to abide by State Department standards and rules. And in order to do that, there's several ways to look at accomplishing those standards. I appreciate how you talked about your child thinking, okay, we've got this, and then yet you get to that next level and you think, I don't think we did have this, or maybe we're missing something. We give our parents on our team, our parents do have a copy of those standards, and we really specify and stress that EPIC is a 3-legged stool. It is a comprising of the student, the parent, the teacher. We're in it together. We expect everybody to come to the table. Every voice is heard. We design a plan. We have a PLP that we use, and it's nothing more than a prescriptive plan for our students that show these are the standards they've mastered. These are the standards they need to master. These are the ways and the ideas and how we're going to get there. Which, it kind of falls back into where one of the other questions was about interactive platforms that they can use to help with their math and such. And those are embedded within our PLPs that we use for each student. It's just a prescriptive learning path. We look at on our team, we're focusing a lot on academic vocabulary. That's a game changer. That sometimes will have you almost at the point of passing, but when they start learning more of that academic vocabulary within their standards, it can often raise them right on over the top. So we look at, there's so many things, so many ways of hitting the standards. But let me just say, from a mother's perspective, a grandmother's perspective, a veteran teacher, and now principal, I often ask my kids, my own children, my students, how bad do you want this? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? What are your goals? And it takes determination. It takes focus. It takes laser focus, not just a flashlight. You've got to be focused, and you got to want it bad enough to work hard enough. And we're in the boat with you. You're not alone.
Awesome. And guys, it's that 12:30 moment, but I've got one more question, and I just want to make sure we get to it because Nicole, I don't know if you've seen this whole live session, but we were answering some of your questions from last week as well. So I want to get to this week's question here and now. She is asking, she says, my son is in 6th and is planning on doing 6th and 7th. Does that mean that even though he does both grades work plus study island, he will have to take the promotion tests? And Nicole, I mean, those promotion tests should be given alongside all year long. Am I right? I mean, we've got the Mastery Connect to prove, we've got the Study Island to prove, and then we're going to have benchmarks that walk alongside each quarter that will prove that your kiddo knows exactly everything that they need to know. Emily, I'm not coming back off of anything that you said, am I?
No, that's correct. There are certain windows in which that proficiency-based promotion exam can be given. And that's just the rules we have to follow for that, given by the State Department. So what I will say is, with your child's PLP, if they are doing that study island and they're doing their lessons, that proficiency-based test, they should be prepared for that. And I'm confident that it sounds like you have a great plan. So reach out to your teacher, and you can probably get in on that next window that those proficiency-based exams are being offered.
Thank you so much for all the questions today. Thank you to my panel. Guys, show Emily and Angie the heart emoji. Show them the thumbs up right now. Show them how much you appreciate them for being here. That is all the time we have for today. Join us next Friday when we're going to have another live Q&A. Next week, we're talking about all the add-on apps that can be used throughout the week, throughout the year, throughout the semester to kind of boost that learning. Until then, until next time, thank you for making EPIC the top place to learn and to work.